Hey, what's up? So 2023, the year is over, and I'm going to do what everyone else is doing, which is give you a list of some of the movies that I think were the best for this particular year. Now, my list is from 10 to 0. It's not 10 to 1 to 0 because according to Godzilla minus 1, there is something before 1. Number 10, we have Poor Things, which is one of the weirdest movies that I've seen in a very long time, but a very well shot weird movie. Maybe I thought a hint of Frankenstein, but a better version of that, or The Bride of Frankenstein, but much better version of that. I absolutely enjoyed how it was shot. Yes, it's weird. Yes, there are a lot of sex scenes. Not a lot, but you get it's not the kind of thing that you'll watch with your kid. But generally, it's a very good movie to look at. I enjoyed the cinematography more than anything else. I enjoyed how it was shot. I enjoyed the camera work more than anything else. And that's why it's at number 10. I'm not saying that it's a bad movie. For some people, they might have enjoyed it. But for me, it was kind of one of those movies that are too weird for me to actually understand what the hell is going on. Yes, I get what's going on, but there is a certain sense of weirdness about it that makes it not go up in my list. Because my list is all about pure entertainment, having fun, having a good cinematic experience rather than just weirdness for the sake of weirdness. At number 9, we have The Killer from David Fincher. I think this was Netflix. I think it gave us one of the best action set pieces that we've ever seen in. Okay, for me, I speak for myself. It gave us that fight scene with the Brute. For me, was a very good fight scene, and I loved the general tone of the film. That this was actually a slow burn movie that I could actually enjoy. I enjoyed it from the word go, despite the fact that I think for the first 20 minutes you just sit around doing nothing, waiting for this guy to do what he's supposed to do. And the whole movie, after rewatching it, I came to actually understand it finally, because at first I thought this was a very efficient person who was all about the system, all about conditioning himself to do the best he can in a mission. But after watching it, I discovered that it was more of a person whose ideologies were against what he was doing, and he needed to constantly repeat the mantras to himself in order to try to bring himself back and prevent himself from doing what he's against. But he ended up doing exactly the opposite of what he kept talking about in his head, because we actually had got to hear and follow his thought. And so all his mantras are actually opposite of his action in a way, when you actually think about the movie at the end of it all. That was number 9. At number 8, we have Killer of the Flower Moon, Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, and directed by Martin Scorsese. Very good performances, but for me, why this movie is here is because, one, it was very long. It's an epic, it's a very enjoyable film, but it's long. The story, the performances are on top. But whatever happened to those people, man, it just shows. I think this is more of a lesson in greed. It explores the American way in a very interesting way, because America is all about capitalism, and sometimes capitalism has its light side and it has its own dark side. Like what they were doing to that character with the diabetes, insulin, whatever medication, and doing whatever they were doing with that just made me. This movie just made me uncomfortable, and it just reminded me of how cold people are, especially when it comes to the pursuit of money and wealth. And it reminds me of oil and what most people are ready to do for oil and power. So it's a pretty sad movie. It's a disturbing movie, but it's a very well shot and structured story, because it flows in a very interesting way. Characters are introduced at a point whereby you don't expect them to be introduced, and you go like, okay, is this turning into a different movie? It just moves in a very interesting way. When you watch it for the first time, you don't feel the length. If you watch it for the second time, knowing what's going to happen, you kind of feel the long runtime. But that's number 8. Number 7, you have Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I enjoy. Man, her name is Hayley Atwell. That woman is a very good actress. I loved her in this particular movie. I love her look. I love I love the kind of energy that she brings into the movie. It just freshens up everything. Now, I did not like what they did to Rebecca Ferguson's character, because again, I'm a Rebecca Ferguson fan. I don't like where our arc went to in this particular movie, because it says a lot about the future of the other movies. But generally, Halle Atwell is a very interesting addition. I love where they took the story. Very good visual storytelling from the word go. They made me understand why the impact and the consequences of the MacGuffin. You know, this movie is a lesson. If you ever want to explain to someone how to establish or what a MacGuffin is, show him this movie. Show him the first 30 minutes of this movie. I think it establishes that very well and just makes you understand the consequences of that particular MacGuffin. So that's number 7. At number 6, I know some of you may think that this should have been higher, but Oppenheimer is a very good Christopher Nolan movie. But for me, I enjoyed it because more of the cinematic styles of shooting the movie. For me, that was the point that I actually liked the movie for. I didn't like it because it was a Christopher Nolan movie. I didn't like it because it was star-studded. I just love the way it was shot. I love the structure of the movie, because it's very challenging, especially if you're into film. It's a very challenging movie. It will get you to think, how did he shoot this? Not in terms of the technical part of it, but in conceptualizing and arranging the sequence or the flow of events. It will get you into that state of mind where you go by, how the hell did he think about this? So Oppenheimer for me was just how he was able to structure the film and how the film is shot with the black and white and mix of color. And basically, not necessarily for the, it's about Oppenheimer, it's about the character, it's more of a character study. It's not about the performances. So for me, it was more of just how did the director think about all this? How was he able to conceptualize all this? That's why it's at number 6. At number 5, we have Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This was one of my favorite superhero movies. I think we had the best comic book. It's one of the best. The High Evolutionary is a very interesting character. It's just a terrible human being. Not a human being. It's just a terrible thing. I don't know what it's supposed to be. He's just, the way he treated the animals and that idea that he was greater than everyone and anything. That just made him one of the best villains. It's not about beating around the bush. It's just saying that this is a terrible person. It's not like trying to cover it all up with maybe trying to make him an anti-hero. No, or trying to say, oh, he might be bad, but he may have this positive, he might have these positive attributes. There's nothing like that. He's just a terrible villain, and I like where James Gunn was able to take the movie. I know some people have complaints about some particular characters, but I was like, you know what? I just love what he did with the character. I love where he took Raccoon. I love that relationship between Peter Quill and the concept of friendship in general and all the other members of the Guardian of the Galaxy. So for me, I believe, people say that Endgame was a pivotal moment in the MCU. But for me, this is a very pivotal moment in the MCU. James Gunn leaving MCU is a very, very... Because as much as you say Endgame and Infinity War were good movies, look at James Gunn's movies. They were actually really good stories. And it's just his touch, I believe, in the MCU is going to be missed. But then again, what I did not like about the movie, I don't know, it's just that Marvel formula where everything ends very well and everyone is happy. So for me, that ending did not give me that feeling of I've watched something epic. So that's why it's up there at number 5. I think as we go on, you'll see the kind of movies that actually made me feel a bit fulfilled. So that's number 5. At number 4, we have Godzilla Minus One. I just saw this movie recently, and I feel that yes, it's one of the best Godzilla movies. I understand the budget, and I was really impressed with what they did with the budget, because it looked really, really, really good, and they actually made an effort to actually focus on the human characters. And by saying that they focus on the human characters, I mean that they actually resolved Godzilla. Godzilla was taken care of by the human characters. That thread he was literally destroyed by what the human beings actually did. The hell did not come from any other random creature coming from anywhere. No, it was actually the people, and the movie was focusing on the people and what they had to go through during that period and taking down Godzilla. So that for me was refreshing. And obviously the cinematography, especially shooting Godzilla, made him look bigger. The sound design is insane, and that atomic breath. And the idea behind the atomic breath and how it takes time to actually recharge, that makes, in a way, when you actually think about it, it kind of makes sense that would happen if, it was happening to such a body. And that charging up thing, still the coolest thing that I've seen in any Godzilla movie. So yeah, so that's number 4. And number 3, Blackberry, The Rise and Fall of the Company. Now, I liked this movie because of, it came out very early in the year, and I liked it because it was actually a very funny movie. In a way, yes, you get to watch this company actually making a stupid mistake and actually following through with it, but it's just the performances. Glenn from It's Always Sunny, impressive. He did a fantastic job. Everything with changing his look, but he is kind of familiar. He's the kind of character that you remember from It's Always Sunny, but he was able to embody that character in such a way that it made that character feel believable. And I don't know if I talked about the one thing that shocked me is that this was actually a very funny movie. I didn't expect that from such a kind of a movie. I expected a kind of serious movie, but we got to see an actually funny movie. Now, as I said, it came out very early in the year, but it stayed with me. It stayed with me up to now, and I think it's one of the best movies that we've seen this particular year, especially for millennials and people who are actually there when the phone was actually big, when it was growing. It's fascinating to see what was going on behind the scenes, and thinking that at some point it was actually one of the biggest phone brands in the world, and now it's dead. You know how that, it's just a fascinating movie, and I would recommend it to actually everyone. So at number 2, that was number 3, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think this was the best of all the animated movies that came out this year. I know that the Super Mario animated movie made more money than this one, but in terms of quality, this was a better movie than the Mario movie. Yes, the Mario movie is awesome, but that cinematic experience, because the 2 best cinematic experiences that I've had in terms of animated movie was the first Spider-Man movie. There was also Puss in Boots: Last Wish. I had a very good cinematic experience. Oh, also Total TMNT. The recent one, I had a very good time in the cinemas. But this particular one, this Across the Spider-Verse, I had a very, very good time. It was spectacular, especially starting from the second act or the second hour. I thought that the first act and the better part of the second act, the beginning of the second act, were poorly done. I thought that they lost focus. My thought of these 2 movies is that even with the first one, it's very, very focused. They introduce you to the conflict and they never let you go. They just, each scene goes by very quickly. But for Across the Spider-Verse, it took some time before we actually went to a level whereby things actually started moving. Yeah. So, but generally, it was a very good cinematic experience. That third act is insane, with all those Spider-Man chasing, Miles, and then Miles going into this different, and the emotional peaks. That was really, really well done. And that's number 2. At number 1, we have They Cloned Tyrone, a sci-fi movie. I wouldn't call it one of the best sci-fi movies. It's not a different concept. It's not a new concept. It's something that you're familiar with. It's something that you've seen before. Cloning. It's something that we've discussed before. What I liked about it is where they took that particular idea, taking it to those parts of America that, the black people, but the lower income, and then you discover what is going on behind the scene. And then the ending, you discover that now Tyrone is not actually the person that we are following. There was another Tyrone. I really like that idea. I like the idea of, conspiracy theories. application of that into the story. And the cinematography is one of those things that I actually remember very, very, very well. So The Clone Tyrone was number one, but now I have to give you the best of the best movie for 2023. The best movie that I saw this year was John Wick 4, because I believe in terms of action, it gave me what I was looking for, more than what I was looking for. It was shot very well. It was long because I had a lot. Value for money. I always believe that a good movie that is long in the cinemas is value for money. You pay, but you get to watch more and you get to have a very good time. It was a very good ending for John Wick, and for me, it's the perfect movie for 2023. And since it's Keanu Reeves, we have to come through, and it's not supporting. I think they did a good job with the stunts and everything. The fact that he's been with this movie he's been with this character for 4 years, and then finally gave us. I mean, after watching John Wick 3, I believe you thought that there was no way that they were going to top that. I thought that there was no way that they were going to beat what they had established, and maybe I thought that they were never going to have better stunts or better action set pieces than the previous John Wick, and they actually did it, and they made it interesting. They added very better characters, they expanded the world, and basically, for me, in terms of just entertainment, John Wick 4 was the best movie of the year. I know it's weird because it's 0 to 10, but those were some of the best films that I think were entertaining, and they gave me a good theatrical experience. And there are a lot of movies, and you have your own list. That's why we have the comment section. So go ahead, put down what you think actually worked for this particular year. Put down what you loved about this year's movies. What did I leave out? What do you think deserved to be higher? So basically, that's my list. So thanks for watching. Remember to always watch what you enjoy what you watch. Please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.